It's Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Tom Schmidt. I'm the president of the Massachusetts chapter of the Percussive Arts Society. And before we get started with our clinic this week, our webinar with Royal Hartigan, to just present a little bit about our chapter. And got a quick little presentation to share with you. So we are the Massachusetts chapter of the Percussive Arts Society. Percussive Arts Society is the largest international groups of percussionists. And we'd certainly love to have you become involved and join us. You may ask, why join the Percussive Arts Society? You'll have access to these summer webinar series. There's, of course, PASIC, the largest convention of its kind. We have local events here in our state of Massachusetts. And PAS is offering a free trial and group membership for everyone. And also you will get access to materials on pas.org. A little bit about our Massachusetts chapter. I'm Thomas Schmidt, the president. Eric Huber is our vice president, and Andre Sonner is the treasurer. And we've been forming a new Massachusetts chapter committee, and I've been thrilled to get to welcome some new members. And if you're a PAS member or become a PAS member and you'd like to be more involved with what's happening in the state, you could join this committee. Really, all you need to do is create a title for yourself and join us. And we hope to have regular meetings every few months, voice new ideas, and help out with events. Obviously, everything's still up in the air about when we can have our next in-person concert, day of percussion, competition event, but you could be part of shaping that. So whatever you might like to be, drum set hobbyist, you're into marketing, you're a student, you could be a student delegate, whatever you see a strength or something you could contribute, you would be most welcome as a member to join our committee. And so we've been having these summer webinar series just in the interim during this pandemic. Here's one, we hosted Iran, Israel. We've had Marcus Santos, Sergio Bellati, and today we're really pleased to welcome Mr. Royal Hartigan. He's going to be presenting some time cycles. Going to do one in 11. So these series are just, a chance to get material and inspiration from drummers at the top of their field. Trying to make them regular, weekly. They're a little bit of a hiatus, but we have some amazing sessions lined up this summer. And we're hoping eventually that these will be only for those in the PAS community, but today is still open to everyone who likes our page. So PASIC is moving virtual this November. Typically, it's the largest percussion convention in the world, and it's usually in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it's incredible. It's like nothing you've ever seen if you haven't been. There's you get to participate in competitions, evaluations, master classes. There's concerts every night and throughout the day. You have the opportunity to join various committees, and with your membership, you have a discount to PASIC. So having the membership really pays for itself if you're planning on attending PASIC. This year, they're recreating PASIC online. So you can check out about that at pasic.org and check out some photos. And it's going to be a PAS virtual event. So trying to recreate the PASIC we know and love, that's usually in Indianapolis, an online platform. And it's really an amazing deal. So those of you who become members get access to all of these concerts and classes for $50. And then $100 if you're not a student member to attend PASIC. So it's much cheaper, obviously, than attending in person. And then for non-members who would like to not join, I think it's worth it to join financially, but you could check out all of PAS virtual for $175. So check it out online. That will be in November. And I think, they're still working out what the artist roster is going to be, the concerts, the classes. So stay tuned on the pasic.org website. And I think it's really the value for what you get is great. But even if you can't make it virtually, but we have things happening here in Massachusetts, usually, typically annual Days of Percussion at Berklee College of Music. And with your membership, you'll have admission to that and future events outside of Boston. We're hoping to have some more drum set competitions, percussion ensemble competitions, master classes, and concerts. So if you're an educator that works with an ensemble, or you know some percussionists that have a group and they would like to perform and be evaluated or attend some of these master classes, it's great to have them join and be in the loop about everything happening. And also you have that chance to be part of our state chapter committee and shape the future of what we have happening in the state. And then of course, the webinar series. So individual membership starts at $60 annually for non-students. And group membership can be offered to schools and up to 12th grade. So any nonprofit school or any other nonprofit that services community up to the 12th grade, they can sign up for $250 annually and have unlimited access. So even if you have 20 students that are involved in your program, you can give those 20 students access to PAS and a discount to PASIC. So they'll have access to everything online and access to attend anything that we have in Massachusetts for free. So unlimited access with all of that. So you can check out about membership at pas.org, and PAS is also offering a free trial membership. So if you use the code MTPASDOP2020, once again, that's MTPASDOP2020, when you go to sign up, you will be given a free 90-day trial. And all of these videos are posted on YouTube, so if you didn't get a chance to write down that code, check out our YouTube page, just YouTube Massachusetts Chapter of Percussive Arts Society or Mass PAS. You'll find our YouTube page, and you can once again get that code. It's just MTPASDOP2020. Give us the same code as Montana. So, but that will work well. So without further ado, I would like to, it's my great privilege to get to welcome Mr. Royal Hartigan, who will be presenting some time cycles in 11. And thanks for being with us. And screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Thomas. And hello, everybody. Greetings to you. In Asante Twi, I would say, Wahoteseng. And I hope everyone is well. I'd like to start by just playing something to greet you and to begin our talk on what is time and time cycles today. This is a gourd rattle from the Ewe people of Ghana and Togo. It's called a hatse. And if we were in the room, we'd all say it together, but say it if you want. A hatse. And I'm just going to play a basic pattern that would go with music known as gadzo, or social music. Okay, the ahatse functions in the Ewe drum ensemble to reinforce the time feeling, what my teacher Kobina Adjanya calls the invisible conductor, the invisible connector. And that was in Western terms in 12/8. Pa, pa, ti, pa, pa, ti, pa, ti, pa, ti, pa, 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 ti, pa, pa, ti, pa, ti, pa, ti, pa, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, pa, pa, ti, pa, pa, ti, pa, ti, pa, ti, pa, pa. Okay, well, 12/8 is one time cycle. We find it in many parts of West Africa. This is not just a technique, it's a voice of a person. Sometimes it's heard, or other drums are heard as the voice of ancestors. But this time gives a regular heartbeat. So we ask then, what is time? Life has time in it, and music has time in it. And we are musicians, so we deal with time in music and time in life. Here is another instrument that expresses this among the Ewe people. It's called gankogui, G-A-N-K-O-G-U-I, if you want to say it along, gankogui. And it has a lower chamber and a higher pitch chamber. This is heard as the voice of the mother, and this is the voice of the child, and they are connected in life. And I'm going to play the bell pattern for the rhythm you just heard from Gazzo. Again, in Western terms, you could notate it or hear it in 12/8 time with a dotted quarter beat. And I'll demonstrate it on my feet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that is a heartbeat. However, heartbeats aren't necessarily all fitting into an even sense of time. In Turkey, where we have a tradition called Turkish art music or Mevlevi music as part of a spiritual dance and worship, many instruments are used. One of the percussion instruments is a frame drum. And I should say right away that my apologies, this is a synthetic frame drum, a Remo plastic drum head. The reason is I had this beautiful drum brought over by my teachers, Feridun Ozogran, who at the time lived in Boston, Latif Bolat in the Bay Area, and Fred Stubbs lived in Boston. Goat skin, beautiful sound, but the New England winter and dryness totally cracked the goat head, and so I'm left with this, but this is a close sound. I'd like to demonstrate a way that, for example, in this rhythmic cycle, it's called in Turkish music usul, U-S-U-L, usul. There are many, 56 beats, 28 beats, 14 beats, 10 beats, 6 beats. This particular one is used in spiritual music, and I've been given permission to play it. And it's called Evfer, E-F-V-E-R, Evfer. And it's divided in Western terms 4+5. Dum, tek, tek, ya, dum, dum, tek, hek. Dum, tek, tek, ya, dum, dum, tek, hek. But in some pieces, and sometimes, that last beat, which is really silent, is extended, and it's like elastic time. So here we go. Tek, tek, ya, dum, dum, tek, hek. Tek, tek, ya, dum, dum, tek, ya. Tek, tek, ya, dum, dum, tek, hek. Tek, tek, ya. So the aesthetic is to let the last beat stretch, like the time is elastic, or to let it breathe. And you could adapt this easily to drum set. I'll do it with brushes. I'm going to think of that, feel that pattern, dum, tek, tek, ya, dum, dum, tek, hek, and see where we go with it. Just try to feel it and see what it does. Stretch. So you can see time is elastic. But let's ask the question, maybe we can't answer it. What is time? What is this thing that, as musicians and percussionists who deal with tones, pitches, timbres, dynamics, rhythms, forms, and time. What is that? What is time? Well, the Greek philosopher Aristotle said time is the number of motion, basing it on a physical characteristic. Time is the number of motion. Sun Ra, the great pianist and band leader, who talked about we are from an omniverse. We're not limited to this earth in our dreams and imagination. Sun Ra and his solar orchestra. He said that when we play music, we go to a place as artists that's beyond place. It's a space beyond place. It is a experience beyond time. It's time without clocks. What the philosopher Plato would probably call metaphysical time. Time beyond the workaday world. Because as artists, as musicians, as percussionists, as drummers, we live with time in everything we do. Let's look at and another aspect of time. A percussionist from Pittsfield, Lillian Galden, good friend of mine, Pittsfield, Mass, said that you can experience an entire lifetime. You can experience eternity in line with what Sun Ra said in one moment, in one instant. And you can experience all places in one place. And in Stravinsky's L'Histoire de Soldat, where the narrator says, one happy thing is all happy things. I played that piece. I was shaking in my boots the first time I tried to play it back many years ago. I love the piece with a dancer, actor, narrator. And then the narrator goes on to say, you can't have it all, but just realize that one good thing, one happy thing can be all happy things. So back to Turkish art music. Another usul rhythmic cycle deriving from India called Devri Hindi is 3 + 2 + 2, 7. And it goes like this. Doom, tek, tek, doom, doom, tek, doom, tek, doom, doom, tek, doom, tek, doom, doom, tek, doom, tek, so that's 3 + 4, but that can also stretch. Here it is stretched. Now we'll do it faster where it's more metronomic. So this 7 cycle can express time, what some people would say as asymmetry, or just a giant heartbeat. And for example, I could do that here on the drum set. Take my hands, something like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's go to India. In India, there are many time cycles known as tala, and there are ways to divide it. A very simple one that's symmetrical is an 8-beat cycle called Chaturashra Triputa, or its nickname is Adi Tala. It's 4 plus 2 plus 2, marked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's 8 pulses, 4, 2, 2. And let's divide those pulses in different ways. Tishra is 3. We'll say takita. If you want to do this quite long with me, go ahead. Takita, 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 takita. Now 4 with takadimi. Takadimi, 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 takadimi. 5 with takatakita, 2 plus 3. Takatakita, 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 takatakita. Boom. Let's do 6 is considered a multiple of 3. Let's jump to 7. And 4 is called Chaturashra. 5 is called Kanda, and the term for subdivision is Gati, Kanda Gati. Now let's do 7, Mishra Gati, Takadimi Takita, 4 plus 3. Takadimi Takita, 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 Takadimi Takita. Boom. 8 is a multiple of 4, so it would be 2 takadimis. Takadimi, 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 takadimi. Boom. And 9 is called Sankirna Gati. 9 means Sankirna is 9, and we'll do 4 plus 5. Takadimi takatakita. 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 Boom. So it was again clap, pinky, 4, 3, clap, wave, clap, wave. I say that as a means into these subdivisions. In India, in South India, it's called Chaputal, C-A-P-U-T-A-L or T-A-L-A. Chaputal are tala, just a few of them, where it's faster, and at times the beats are not subdivided. For example, Kanda Chapo is 5, and it's 3 plus 2. So it'd be takita taka, 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 boom. Mishra, 7, would be 3 plus 2 plus 2. Takita takadimi, takita takadimi, takita takadimi, takita takadimi, takita takadimi. So those all work as time cycles. My teacher, Tanja Ranganathan, said, if you're bringing it into another tradition, drum set, for myself in jazz, the African-American tradition known as jazz, he said, take the 3 and put it in the middle, put it in the beginning, put it anywhere. So in many years of working with it, I find that it works really well anywhere, but especially at the end. So he said, yeah, change it around. So 2 plus 2 plus 3. Takadimi takita, takadimi takita, takadimi takita. To give you context for now where we're going to leap off the cliff and look at 11. We could take days just on 11, but let's just go through a couple of ideas. 11, I'm not sure you've all had the chance to listen to the music of my Blood Drum Spirit Ensemble, but I guess Thomas has put those on one of the websites. Please check those out. There's 4 samples. I had so many, I chose those 4. One is about 5 minutes, called Navajo Blood, Pontuzic Waters, Springside Lands. It's in an 11, but it's abstractly stated. It's based on an Inuit frame drum rhythm from the north, which actually isn't like the Turkish drum, but to give you an example, it's played on the rim. I don't know if you can hear it. And the sound is not playing on the head, but playing on the rim, from the Inuit people of the north. Also, they're also known as Eskimo. And this is what the rhythm would be like. 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. And there is an 11 that you can hear as primarily triple based. I also used a duple based pattern of 4 2s and a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, which you can also hear. I don't want to get mathematical, but 5.5. Okay, so that's the 11 we're dealing with. The other way to hear it as primarily triple is 3, 3, 3, 2. So in Western terms, I really don't want to get too mathematical, but to help you see it, 3, it would be like 3 2/3. The duple would be 5.5. This is 3 2/3. But forget that, just so you can get a sense of what it is. So 3 2/3 would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we got these two paradigms we're throwing out. 1, 11 as duple, divided as 4 2s and a 3, or just to think of it as a breath, not counting, and 3 3s and a 2, 3 2/3. Those quantifications, those numbers are just to help you see it, because I don't have a screen where I can point to the notes and the notation. I can tell you a little background. When I first started hearing these time cycles, I had listened to McCoy Tyner's great ensemble at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. They were there performing. And Kelvin Hill on bass, Alphonse Muson on drums, Sonny Fortune on saxophone, and McCoy on piano. McCoy from John Coltrane's group. They played for about 4 hours, and they played 3 tunes. It was Take No Prisoners. It was beyond music. It was life. And it so inspired me. At the time, I didn't know. I said, is there any meaning in life? I don't know if there is, but I know that that has meaning for me, and I want to give my life to it. And that intensity was so powerful that I was back home in Pittsfield the next night with my mom and dad, and I suddenly heard this thing for Caravan. What is this I'm hearing? So I kept hearing it. I woke up next day, I kept hearing it. So I went on the drum set and I started playing it. And I just, man, I got to try to write this down so I don't forget it. And what it was this. Okay, apologize, sorry for my bad singing. Anyway, Caravan, okay. And I wrote it down, I said, wait a minute, this is an N4/4. It was in, I guess, what you'd call 15/8. 12 twos and 7 pulses, 7.5 in effect, 6 twos and a 3. 1, 2, 3, and the 3's at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the middle on the bridge, my group swings. So it's, from that point, I started hearing music and time in other time cycles. And when I looked at, a few years later, when I performed Stravinsky's L'Histoire Soldat, my God, the music is, constantly changing meters. 5/8, 2/4, 1/4, 9/8, 6/8, 3/4, 5. I mean, it's just really challenging. It's really wonderful. And then quite a bit later, I studied Solkatu, which is rhythmic syllables of South India, at Wesleyan University with my teacher, Tanjore Ranganathan. And out of that came one of the pieces that I believe Thomas has posted. It's called Tala Vadyam that my group performed in Brooklyn last June, a year ago, last June. The other two pieces that are there are Threads, which is goes through funk and Afro-Latin and swing, and Dreamfire's Waking Invitation. It's an arrangement I did of Invitation, also in 11. It's got both the duple and triple. It's got different time feels, Afro-Latin, just a bunch of really interesting ways to have the grooves happen. But none of them are done as a, what would you call it, variety. It's just the way I heard it and felt it. It would come from feeling, not mathematics or plotting out or writing out. The thinking about it came after the feeling. So now let's look at 11 and see how we can put this together. So we'll start with the duple feel of 11 as 4 2s and a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 1, 2. So if you want to think about the 5 as a longer beat or a breath, but in this case, we're going to keep it pretty metronome. We're not going to stretch it. So let's just try clapping that together. We'll just clap on every 2, and then the 3 will be a little longer. Let's try that together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what you can do, you can put a little 8th note at the very end. 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, now there's 1,000 ways we can play this. Let's just try one. Let's just take the feet strictly outlining that rhythmic foundation. I'll slow it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Okay, now one of the most basic things is I'm going to play in a, it's not in an African or Afro-Latin style or Afro-Cuban style, but it has that inspiration in it, that influence in it. So I'm going to play on the bell of the cymbal. Along with my feet. Let's just try that, check it out, and then we'll add the left hand later. So here's the feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the side of the floor tom, on the snare drum ring, or like a very high-pitched rim shot. Okay, we're cool. So we got that. I should say, little parentheses here, Edward Blackwell, one of my teachers, he had this thing. I went over to his house for a lesson one day, and in Middletown when I was at Wesleyan, and he was doing this really cool thing. Take the snares off. That's a snapping technique, and he learned that from listening to Middle Eastern and North African hand drummers when they were doing a snap technique on the goblet drum or on this drum. And he really, and the people were dancing. That was when he was touring with Randy Weston in the 1960s and 70s. And so this sound really works cool. You can let the rim and the head sound together right with the tip of your stick it's definitely different than a rim shot. Or you know, it's, and depending on how far from the rim you have your, see, that's already way in. You have the tip of your stick, you know, the bigger and different the sound will be, pitch even. Higher pitch, different timbre. And it's that high pitch that sound like the stroke in North Africa or Middle East is sometimes referred to as tak, tak. And so he called it the snapping technique. Anyway, just a little parentheses there so you can check that out. So you can play this time feeling. I was doing a very basic one on cymbal, on the bell, on the audio cymbal, even on the outside. Say you're in a bass solo and you want to keep that thing, you want to keep that feel going, but you don't want it to be too intense. So then you just go from here, and we'll just do the 11 again. Bass is going, you might want to lose the bass drum. Even lose the hi-hat. Right there. As Max Roach used to say when we'd have classes with him at UMass Amherst, once the time is there, it's there. You don't have to play it. Nobody, even the drummer. We're liberated. Ladies and gentlemen, we're liberated. If the time is there, it's there. And some styles, yes, you do have to play it, but not always. And if he said that, that's a pretty cool idea. So let's go back to our 11. So what we've got, again, to review is our feet. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to add the left hand, filling in some in between that, and in a way mimicking the mute and open tones of hand drumming. Maybe just one mute stroke. Now in 15, now here it is in 4. 2, 3, 4. Now in 15. I'm sorry, not 15, sorry, in 5.5, in 11. Okay, now let's use that, what would be otherwise heard as a hand drum technique. Cross sticks for what you might hear as mute strokes, open hand drum tones as tom tones. Let's see how this works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's change up the cymbal a little because we got our foundation going with bass drum and hi-hat. So let's change it up a little. I might even change the left hand up. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is just one taste of an African-influenced approach to expressing this cycle. Let's look at another one. Let's look at a more basic form of rumba. Now, rumba is not played in 11, so I'm not claiming that this is rumba, no, but it's influenced by the feel of rumba. And here is how it would sound, then I'll break it down. Was basic pattern, little embellishment, something like the cascara on the timbales. Altered, of course. Clave also altered. Here's that, what that sounds like. Now, with the tumbao, clave, and left hand, playing open tones of hand drums. One way, there are other ways, but that's just one way to express a rumba-inspired groove in 11. In the piece that Tom has linked, the one that is known as Dreamfire's Waking, my arrangement of Bronislaw Kaper's Invitation, at the end of the piano solo, there's a break, and I play basically this pattern underneath the beginning of the saxophone solo that's just saxophone and drums. And it feels really nice. So get a chance to check that out. Okay, another approach is playing it in a funk feel. And this is found, let's see, in a couple of places on some of my recordings. One is the same album with Dreamfire's Waking, and a piece by our saxophonist David Byman called Threads. That has funk, reggae, and straight ahead. We'll get to all three of those. So a funk piece in 11, a million ways to do it, of course. Here's like a two-measure phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3. A funk approach. In this piece by David Byman, he has a 3-bar phrase in funk, and it sounds like this. So just a couple of ways you can take one rhythm really. In this case, it was a 3-bar funk feel, jazz funk really, and play it around the set. And if you notice, towards the end, I just felt like going, you know, in funk, say you're playing in 4. Upbeats in Western terms. Okay, I took that feel and shifted it into the 11. So it's not going to come out even because there's different frame. There's a different sense. So I'll just play that with the feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Actually, it goes right with the way I was doing the hi-hat. At the end of that, into the next one, there's a little hitch because it comes a little sooner. 1, 2, 4, 5. But you know, we have a little bit of a limit, I guess. Okay, so that's a funk feel. Man, we could spend hours just on funk, jazz funk. But let's look now at a reggae approach. Not Caribbean reggae, but a reggae adapted into more of a jazz feeling. So again, in this piece by David Byman called Threads, after the piano solo in the funk groove, there is a bass solo by Wes Brown. The piano solo is by Art Hirahara. Wes Brown, who lives in Turners Falls, Massachusetts, currently, where David composed it and wanted a jazz reggae, but relatively subdued because it was a bass solo. So this is what I came up with, again, in 11, with the clave implied. It's not a real total authentic clave. 3, 4, 5. So, the first step is, well, where do we put the bass drum? Reggae, the bass drum goes half, you know, somewhere in the middle, not at the beginning. Or say if we're in Western. Okay, in 4. Now, where are we going to put it? If it goes somewhere in the middle, well, in 11, if we're thinking 5.5, let's try 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It works. And when we play it, it works. So that's how we recorded it. And to rush through it, I was going to spend longer on how I came up with it. But here it is. I'm going to play that, and then I'll put a clave-related rhythm in my left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we're getting late, but the one thing that I gotta show you is swing. How do we deal with this in swing? Some people say, oh, you can only swing in 4/4. No. If you listen to Max Roach, Drums Unlimited, Johnny Merritt's piece entitled No Mo, meaning no more of this stuff we're getting put on with. Beautiful 7. Max plays brushes all the way through it. 1966, his album Drums Unlimited, and that piece is No Mo. He also does a great version of St. Louis Blues, and I adapted St. Louis Blues in a different 21/8 cycle with 3 7s. It's on my website. If you listen to the solos, it's right on blooddrumspirit.com and royalheart.com. If you just look at the homepage, you'll go right down, you'll see this, you can hear the solos in it by Art and Wes and David in different fields of 21 with 7. It's really, really pretty cool. So in any case, Max did a beautiful version of St. Louis Blues, also in a fast 7, 7/8, and it swings. Also, other players that have done great. Ornette has done things. Blackwell showed me some of his music. Mr. Blackwell showed me some Ornette's music that had, like 7 1/3 or 8.5 beats in the heads. Very complicated, but it was meant not mathematically, but as a breath of life. And Dave Brubeck, of course, we all know Dave Brubeck. It was a great quartet I used to see every summer. And when they were coming to the Music Inn in Lenox, Massachusetts, Joe Morello on drums, Gene Wright on bass, Paul Desmond on saxophone, and Dave Brubeck on piano. Many pieces in time cycles, pickup sticks in 7/8-1. Even had Joe Morello play like that. 4+3, Take 5 by Paul Desmond, Take 5 featuring Paul Desmond in 5, of course. But Blue Rondo a la Turk had a East European rhythm, Turkish, but you also find this in Bulgaria, Romania, even Greece. You can superimpose a 3 inside it. When I did Caravan, I put a 5 in the 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5s like this. Swing. So you can swing in anything. You could swing in 97, you can swing in 426, and 13, and 23, and 1, and 3, and here it is in 5.5, 11. Just one little taste of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Royal, that was amazing, man. You're blowing my mind with this stuff. It's really, man, that's something else. That was,
But I understand we
yeah.
haven't, so,
Yeah, no. I just wanted to get, I think it would be good to get to one question
yeah.
about your hi-hat. When you approach your hi-hat with all these odd meter grooves,
Yeah.
What's your approach to that while playing them? Seems like it's over the bar line.
Yeah. In the case of 11, there's a lot of ways you can play. I started with a very basic one in both the African-inspired and in the straight-ahead swing feel, where it's on what you'd call the upbeats or every other beat, the even number. For example, in 4/4, we have, here we are with 4/4. Or if it's faster and duple. So I'm hearing it. You can actually put it anywhere you want. But for a lot of the things that I do with my group, I want to keep some sense of forward motion and swing. Maybe it's a different, well, it's not different. It's a deeper sense of swing to my ears. And so I start out by having a hi-hat in similar place to what would be as if you were playing something you're familiar with. For example, here's a duple based, what Roland Wiggins would call the 8/8 series, 4/4 time. Okay, so how do I do that? But if the time is not symmetrical, if it's what we call asymmetrical, what we do? Well, imply that. Max Roach used to always say, if you're playing a certain way, imply something. Sometimes it's more powerful than if you literally play it. So I'm implying that while not literally playing in 4/4. Here it comes. So in 5.5, it would be this. 1. If we're thinking, I'll just do this for a second, even though you don't feel it like this when you're playing it. Think of it at the grid as 11/8 notes, and if it was 12/8 notes, it would be like 6/4 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you take the last eighth note off, and it's 11. So the last hi-hat's going to be right at the end, just the way it was in 15/8. On the extended 7th beat, here it is on the extended 5th beat. Here it is in 15/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's no eighth note after that last height. 1, 4/4, 2 bars of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1. Now it's without that and. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in 11, it's instead of 12, it's 11. So here's with 12. 1, 2, 3, now without that last eighth note in 11. Now you can change it up, and as I do, like if I'm playing, so here's an example of it starting and then change it up. Taste of how you can change it up, but even if you change it up, you can still keep what I like to think of as a swing feel
Yeah.
somewhere else on the set, but when you play that with the cymbal, it feels like it's swinging.
Yeah. It's awesome to see the bigger picture.
Yeah, a part of the way that you can create with it is to see how you do change that up. See how you can change up actually all four of your limbs, not even with the cymbal.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a way you can play it very abstract. Just in a way, it's a really good question you're asking, because I think what we're dealing with is how do you play this without sledgehammering every downbeat?
Mm-hmm.
My advice is when you're learning it, you often have to do that. Just because after a while, you'll keep missing. Like, this takes a while. This is not something you just do. And it took me months and years. But it works out that if you stick with it, it will come. What it really is, it's, you know, I'm trying to, it's good to express it with, we had a visual thing, and we talk about times eighth notes and how many beats, 5.5. But when you're playing it, we just eliminate all that. That's to practice it. But the whole thing is to live with it enough so it goes inside you, just like African drumming or Chinese opera or Japanese gamelan. Bring it inside you so that it's there as a heartbeat, really a heartbeat that's a giant one in a way. That's how I'm hearing it. And
Yeah.
so you're going to technically work on all these things, and all that, but that's only the means to getting it inside, with it over the time, through the time, under the time. So ultimately, when you're playing it, you want to play it, and I try to do that, as just a big heartbeat, a giant one. And then you create.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
lucky.
great.
On Spirit Quartet, I have 3 other guys, Art Hartigan, David Bynum, Wes Brown. They've studied world music for decades, and they're totally in sync with it, and they can go with it anywhere. So that's my only advice, is to start very simple, keep the beat going, keep everything basic as heck, and just get it inside little by little. Start messing maybe with one hand, your left hand. Then maybe and then
That's awesome.
and then 2 or 3 of them, and then all 4.
Yeah.
But even just to get the feel takes a long time, and that's really tough.
Great. I love it, Royal. I think that's good. Let me check if there are any more questions.
Yeah.
I think Sarah Tenney just comments, great, fantastic playing, such great feel and flow. And it was, I think that was really some mind-blowing stuff. And what's great is, we reached, I really am enjoying this medium on Facebook, because we reached at one point 176 people. And now as it gets stored, they can watch it as it's been recorded. Now you can check it out on our YouTube page. So we can keep getting this, it's some amazing information, amazing stuff out there. So it's been a nice way, I think, to get what you're about and, some art out there during this pandemic. So thank you so much,
Thank you very much.
Royal, for being our guest tonight. That was really something special, and Royal's doing this all, on his own. We don't have much of a budget for this. So it's a huge thanks to him for doing this for free. And we're really grateful for him, and hopefully we can see him live as we all get back to it in the near future. So I guess we'll call it a day there. This will be on YouTube, and also here it's archived here on our Facebook page. So it's really cool to see the numbers keep going up as these things get recorded.
I hope
So
people check out those links that you put up.
yeah, please do
Those are
mention.
the whole musical context. And
Yeah,
I'm happy anytime to share this because I'm just the custodian of it. It comes from the creator and all the
yeah.
wonderful people in culture that have shared their their art with me from Africa and Asia and Americas. And I hope to continue to do this. And if anybody out there that's watching wants to contact me, feel free and check out our music. And I'm always open to connecting with you.
That's really nice. Yeah, it's a great time to kind of expand your horizons, check out some of this things, and really my mind is blown from that was a lot in there. But let's call it a day. Thanks everyone for watching, and be in touch with the chapter and in touch with the Royal with any more questions. It's very nice to live in a great community here in Massachusetts of a lot of amazing like-minded players that are, in my opinion, very approachable and very willing to share their art with you. So thanks.
Okay.
I'm gonna just say bye. I'll stop the live stream.